Hi, bro. You ready?
Yes, sir.
What's up, man? Welcome, everybody. This is the first episode of The Take Show. I'm Nick.
I'm Will.
And what we're going to do here is this is an internet-based debate show. But we don't pander those regular narratives you hear on TV all the time. These are our opinions. These are our thoughts. But they're different. They're a little more entertaining.
Or we would like to think so.
And I have a laptop. So I'm going to put what I want up there. It's that simple. All right. So this is the first episode of this. So bear with us. We're kind of still working out some of the kinks. But, you know, write down in the comments. Let us know what you think, what you like, what you didn't like, what you'd like to see. You know, we're going to be open to a lot of change because we know we're not really here yet. So today, we got three big topics, and this is the perfect time to get started. So the first one, we got that Antonio Brown trade, bro. We got free agency.
Mm-hmm.
Man, there's some money being thrown around.
Oh, yeah.
And then at the end, we got a hot take about LeBron. Y'all ready? All right, let's go. So Antonio Brown, bro, he got traded from the Steelers to the Raiders for a third and a fifth. A third-round pick and a fifth-round pick for Antonio Brown. Like, really?
I mean, the narrative's changing now. Now, players, instead of, the NFL has always been a business. It's about money. Which players can bring us the most money? How can we take advantage of these players? If they're not doing it for us, out of there. But Antonio Brown changed the narrative. It's becoming more like the NBA now. NBA players have way more leeway in free agency than NFL players do. The NBA is still a business, but, I mean, now Antonio Brown's like, Buffalo? No, I'm not playing there.
Well, even beyond that, like, I agree with that same thing. That occurred to me yesterday. I was like, Antonio Brown might have just pulled a LeBron James. Because what he just said was, I'm going to decide where I play.
Yeah.
He had it in Pittsburgh. He didn't want to play there no more. So then they were like, all right, bet. We're going to be petty because we're the Steelers. We have all the power. We're going to send you to Buffalo. No, you're not. You trade me to Buffalo. I got enough scat. I'll retire.
Yeah, I don't have to play.
So Buffalo's like, ooh, we're not doing that. Buffalo pulls out. Now,
I don't even think they had a legitimate offer on the table. I just think it was kind of just gauging interest. Like, what could we give you for Antonio? What would it take?
What would it take to get him? And of course, 30 teams called because any team wants him.
Yeah.
He's Antonio Brown.
Yeah.
Outside of Julio and Odell, and DeAndre Hopkins, but he's in that argument for top receiver in the NFL. Guaranteed top 5.
Yeah, but he's not one of those guys that's just gonna conform to I'm all about the team. Antonio Brown's an outspoken individual. He's not getting the ball. He's gonna let people know he ain't happy not getting the ball. And so that's the main thing. I think it's a really good fit with the Raiders. Like, I think Derek Carr can play, especially if you put people around him. I think he can do really well. The only thing about it is, if you're not taking care of, if Antonio Brown's not getting his production, how is that going to affect the entire team? I mean, the Raiders weren't good last year. Everybody knows that. And everybody, clown John Gruden. They sent away Khalil Mack, gave away Amari Cooper. But, I mean, I'm assuming they have a bigger plan here, that we don't see.
Well, okay, I'm glad you brought that up, because that was my next question. Do the Raiders have a plan? Because they get rid of Khalil Mack because they don't want to pay him, because they know he's getting that monumental contract.
Yeah.
They get rid of Amari Cooper because they know that monumental contract is coming. Mm-hmm. They saw what Odell got and they got scared.
Mm-hmm.
So they had John Gruden, who they threw too much money to. They then bring in an NFL analyst, an NFL Network analyst, to be their GM. So they're running with this whole reality show thing. So what is the Raiders' plan? They get rid of 2 young superstars to then bring in an older one. Now, I agree with you. I think Antonio Brown is significantly better than Amari Cooper. So he's only going to help them on the field right now.
Yeah.
I think what they're trying to do is sell tickets. Because I read a report that, now, granted, this is all very relative because we're not on the same financial level, but the Raiders don't have a whole lot of money right now. Mm-hmm. They ain't selling tickets. They don't have anywhere to sell tickets to. So Mark Davis is not making money on ticket sales.
Mm-hmm.
He's not making money on jersey sales because his 2 best players are gone. Can you name me a Raider that's not Derek Carr or Marshawn Lynch right now?
No.
Exactly. You have Garyon Conley, which he played 15 minutes last year. they don't have an identity right now. The only thing Antonio Brown's going to sell tickets.
Oh yeah.
But I'm like you. I don't know if Antonio Brown realized how good he had it.
I really just want to see what the reaction in the locker room is going to be when Antonio Brown goes to the media after catching one pass for 12 yards. What's going to be his reaction?
On 3 targets.
Is he going to go to the media and say, you know what he did, like just like he did with Big Ben. Big Ben, oh man, he has a slave owner's mentality. Like the blame was never on him; it was always on me. He didn't throw me the ball. He's like, what if Derek Carr throws you a bad pass? What's your gonna be reaction? Is it gonna be throw a tantrum? I'm not gonna play. What is his reaction gonna be? Is he really gonna commit to the team and put his team over everything? And okay, he has a bad game, they still win. Is he gonna be upset about that? I really want to.
What about this? I heard this the other day. So the Steelers have averaged almost 11 wins a year since 2010.
Mm-hmm.
The Raiders have averaged 6. What's going to happen? Last year was the worst year Antonio Brown's ever had, and he still had 100 catches, 1,200 yards, led the league in touchdowns, and they won 9 games. They lost in the playoffs because the Raiders won that last game.
Yeah.
But what's going to happen when he goes to Oakland, and they still don't have a lot of talent around him, and they go 6-10, and they're picking for lack of a term, they're picking in the lottery, and they're picking top 10 again. What are they doing?
Hey man, they have 1 million picks this year, so
they have 5. Yeah, so they gotta get something. They gotta get this draft right.
I feel like we don't know what their plan is right now, but it'll be revealed to us in this draft when we start seeing where they're going with these picks.
So one thing I will say though about this whole trade on the Oakland side, what it did is it bought Mike Mayock a long leash. I think Mike Mayock got the same leash that Ozzie Newsome got from drafting Jonathan Ogden and Ray Lewis in the same draft. Ozzie Newsome could have goofed up a lot after that. Mm-hmm. And towards the end, he did make some questionable draft decisions, but he always got the benefit of the doubt because of what he did. Mike Mayock just pulled off a heist. The Steelers just got shafted. And he was a first-time GM. He's been a GM for 15 minutes, and he pulled this off against the Steelers. This isn't some slapdick team that doesn't have it together. The Steelers have been a model organization for 50 years, and he pulled this off. He pulled off the best offensive player they've ever had and got Oakland the best receiver they've had since Tim Brown in the 90s, and all he gave up is a 3rd and a 5th. He has 3 first-round picks. It didn't have to give up any of them.
I agree, but I feel like that's less on Mayock and more of Antonio Brown
forcing his way out.
Yeah, see, I mean, I give him credit, but Antonio Brown did not give the Steelers a lot of options. He dwindled down their options little by little to where the Steelers were literally just like Antonio, what do you want? Like, where do you want to, like, and then they literally had no leverage. Antonio Brown had all the leverage. And that was apparent from the beginning.
Yeah.
So I do give him credit for getting the deal done, Mayock, but that deal was less on him and more of Antonio Brown just going, I want to go here, get it done, and if you're not, or I won't play, and you're not going to get anything for me, so it's just going to be a waste.
And it just sucks because the Steelers look stupid here. Because one, they're losing Le'Veon because they weren't going to pay him. They're losing Antonio Brown because Big Ben gets a privilege. And their GM wants to be stupid and say he has 52 kids under him. That right there ended it.
Bro,
you're letting Big Ben, first of all, you're letting Big Ben play fat. You can't do that. Especially when you have a guy like Antonio Brown, who is crazy as he is and is out there as he is and is as wild, quote unquote, as you may think he is. That man works. So you got Big Ben showing up here looking like a dad with a dad bod and a beer gut.
Hey, Ben, you're trying to fat for a minute now.
That's what I'm saying. But you're gonna let that guy tell Antonio Brown how to play? No.
But I mean, you don't have to look the part to play the position. That's like.
But come on.
Look at Nikola Jokic. That man. Look at that.
Nikola Jokic doesn't.
Nikola Jokic got these people poking out of his jersey, and that man is cold. I'm gonna give him his credit where credit is due. Nikola Jokic is that dude. He's on my NBA fans.
I got you. Yes, he is. My final point on this: the Steelers gotta have a lot of faith in Juju, and I like Juju. I think he's a cool dude. I've seen videos of him. I've seen his Instagram. I think he's cool. I think he's funny. I think he's great for the team. I think he's great for fans. I'm curious to see what he can do as the guy.
You seen that video on Twitter? So it was like this black kid at his like family reunion, and and he's like dancing, and his parents are like, do the dance, and he's like doing the dance. He's doing like the Fortnite dance while crying. There's somebody catching that, and they were like, this is gonna be Juju next year when he's getting all these double teams. He's gonna be like in the end zone, like.
Dude, it's gonna be. I hope he does something, but I think he just got put in a really tough position because he has not been. He wasn't even the unquestioned number one at USC because they still had Marquise Lee. They had Ronald Jones. Like, he's always had a lot of talent around him. This might be the first time since he was in high school that he has been the number one guy. So I hope he can pull it off.
Juju is about to lead the league in catches.
Juju on that beat, Juju.
He's gonna
and on that
he's
beat.
He's gonna lead the league in catches. Put it down. Book it. Kind of random call from Houston.
All right. So now, moving on from one superstar to an alleged superstar. This year's free agency reminds me of a lot of the 2016 NBA free agency. There is people with money, and they are throwing it. Jacksonville just gave Nick Foles 4 years, $88 million, with the potential for that to be 102. Are we really saying that Nick Foles is worth $25 million a year?
Yep.
Really?
Yep.
Nick Foles hasn't shown he can throw a pass outside of Philadelphia.
Oh, you're a hater. You're a hater.
Tell me I'm wrong. He had that 1 year with Chip Kelly, and then he had these last two little quarter season runs under Doug Peterson. When has he shown he can even be a capable starter outside of that? With the Chiefs, with the Rams, with anybody?
Nick Foles is the GOAT. And you can't argue with me otherwise.
Yes, I can.
No, you can't. Nick Foles is the GOAT. Nick Foles is the GOAT. You know why? Because he performs what he needs to. If I was in the NFL, that's BDN, baby. Everybody knows what that stands for. Everybody knows what that stands for. Nick Foles is the GOAT. You know why? Because he performs when he has to.
In Philadelphia.
Carson Wentz out. You know what? Let me go ahead and get Super Bowl MVP, bring this city a championship that they never had, and I don't even have to start. Which is why it's easy for him to do that. I'm not saying Nick Foles is complete garbage. Get your money, Nick. Get your money.
And I'm all for him getting his money. Like, I'm glad he got it. I just think Jacksonville needs to be careful because Jacksonville paying him like he's Aaron Rodgers, but he's about to be Case Keenum.
What pick did Jacksonville have in this draft? 7?
So they're not getting Kyler.
And the Giants are probably taking Haskins. So
probably. So what are you going to do? Get Drew Lock? That could be. I'm not saying Drew Lock is bad.
They were saying Denver.
Denver's been a lock for Drew. Pun intended. Denver has been a lock for Drew for since well before the combine. John Elway sees him because he can throw the ball 1,000 yards. He didn't get Pat Mahomes a couple years ago.
Yeah.
But if you're Jacksonville, you need to build around whoever your quarterback is. And if you're giving him $88 million, that's your guy.
So you think that they would be better off taking a young quarterback in this draft or even waiting till next year or just cashing in on Nick Foles now? You don't like the move?
I don't like the move. I like the move because I do think he's better than Blake Bortles.
Oh, dude.
I don't think that's a question.
Blake Bortles sucks.
Blake Bortles is not good.
I mean, there's no disrespect to him, but even his own team,
it's disrespect to him. He is not good at football.
But even Jalen Ramsey was like, remember last year when he was all the quarterbacks?
He even said he was
That man said he gets the job done. He basically didn't want to say his teammate was not good. He said he was serviceable.
He is. Blake Bortles is below average. But if you put a good enough team around him, you can do some things. I do think he is a significant upgrade from Blake Bortles. I don't think that is questionable. I question, you're giving him $25 million a year for the next 4 years. Mm-hmm. That is a big commitment. That is saying, that's my guy. That is the guy that I believe can take us from a fourth quarter lead in the AFC Championship game over the Patriots to actually being in the Super Bowl.
Mhm.
And I don't know if Nick Foles is that guy with that team around him.
Mhm.
Who's the best offensive player that team has?
Probably
Marquise Lee?
Maybe Leonard Fournette.
If Leonard Fournette is arguably your best player, you are not going anywhere. And that's nothing against Leonard Fournette. I just think he is a slightly above average NFL running back. I don't think he's a top 10 NFL running back. I don't think they have a game breaker at wide receiver. I don't think they have a very good tight end. I think what they need to do, instead of sitting at 7, that defense is still pretty good. It's probably still the best set of corners in the league. You got 2 really good young linebackers. You still got Yannick Ngakoue, who is my favorite name to say in the league. But you have and Calais Campbell, so you have good pass rushers. You have a good set on every level on defense. You can take some later round guys, fill the depth up a little bit, and still run and have a top 5 defense. I think if they're going to run with Nick Foles as their guy, trade back. Let Miami or Washington, with whatever on earth they're doing, trade up. You get a mid-first round pick and gain a second or a third and build depth around him. You can get a Kelvin Harmon in the second round. You can take a DK Metcalf at 12 or 15, somewhere in that range. You can get him in the middle of the first round. Take another guy, because you're probably going to lose TJ Yeldon too if you're paying Nick Foles this much. So get a guy like David Montgomery from Iowa State or David Singletary from Florida Atlantic. Get one of those guys that can complement Leonard Fournette.
Well, I mean, I think they just got to look at the mold of the team. I mean, look at the Patriots. Patriots, they got Sony Michel. He just like Leonard Fournette, running the ball. Change the pace, bring in James White. James
White's a receiver.
Dude, James White out of the backfield, you can't cover him.
You can't.
You can't cover him. And dude, he was a game breaker in a lot of these games for them.
It's kind of like
they don't even have a. But if you look at the Patriots, who's their number 1 receiver? Josh Gordon. He didn't play. He caught what? 1 touchdown, 2 touchdowns. I don't even know how many.
He had 4.
Oh, he had 4?
Yeah, he had 4.
Oh, I'm surprised. But literally,
But 2 of them came in 1 game.
But
over the course of 13 games, yeah, he had
that's what I'm saying. It's like you don't need like, oh, we got this number 1 receiver, oh, we got this number 1 running back. Like we bring in Nick Foles.
But let's be fair.
Don't even need
let's
that.
be fair. We cannot expect other teams to pull off what the Patriots are doing. The Patriots don't have a recognizable player on offense that hasn't been Tom Brady since Randy Moss in 2007. Like, you can say Rob Gronkowski, and for a couple years, yes, but the last 2 or 3 years of him, he's been what?
A shell of
He's
himself.
been broken. He looks older, he looks slower, he looks like it's hard for him to play. So I don't
He's not going to take over the game like he used to. He'll make a big catch, which we saw, but
I don't think we can hold them to the standard like that. I think they need to take more of a Bears or Rams approach. You draft, you get a young quarterback on a rookie deal. The Chiefs are doing it too. But you got Jared Goff, you got Mitch Trubisky, you got Deshaun Watson, you got Carson Wentz. These guys that are on young deals that are talented, the Rams are doing to get a bunch of 1-year deals for veterans and just go 1 year at a time. So that way they come off the books, you still have salary in space, you can do it again. Or the Chiefs, build a team with a plan for a quarterback. They built that team to fit Andy Reid's system, put Pat in there, and now they're building up their defense. Now they just secured their biggest takeaway. Their biggest issue was that secondary. They just got Tyrann Mathieu. He can play corner. He can play slot. He can play safety. He can play that nickel position. You can move him all around, and he fills in a lot of the holes that they had. Like, you were relying on Steven Nelson to be your number 2 corner. Steven Nelson
agree.
is not very good.
I agree. I think they should take a young quarterback. I don't know if. I mean, Nick Foles is good. Don't get me wrong. He's good. He definitely can perform in this league. He showed it. He definitely can perform. Get your money, Nick. But if I was the Jaguars, I would want to take a young quarterback, save that money that you threw at Nick Foles, and just kind of like try to shuffle that around to make your team overall better. Get a young quarterback in your rookie deal. Get him some experience. Put him in the fire right away. I mean, you have nothing.
You're not going to compete this year.
You have nothing to lose. Throw him in the fire right away. Let him get a whole year of experience. He comes back the year after that. Your team, you have way more money to shuffle around, make your team better. And I just think it's an overall better move for the future.
And I think now that they've already committed to Nick Foles, don't take a guy this year. Use this year to build around the quarterback. I'm not going to say Nick Foles. I'm not going to say anybody. Take this year, trade back, build around him. Next year, you got Tua coming out. You got Jay Fromm coming out. You got a lot of kids. Jacob Eason from Washington is probably coming out. There's a lot of kids.
And then the year after that, Trevor Lawrence.
And then you got Trevor Lawrence. You might have Justin Fields from Ohio State. In the next 2 years, there's a lot of like top flight quarterbacks that are in that mold of could be transcended.
Mm-hmm.
I say build your team up now and go get one of them in a couple years. Then let him sit behind Nick for a year. Then let him take over, or let him sit behind Nick for 6 or 8 weeks. Then take over.
Honestly, I'm sure they talked about it.
Don't force it this year. You already paid him. Run with it.
They probably talked about it.
So we already touched on it, but boy, the Chiefs pulled off something sneaky. What was the one problem last year with the Chiefs? They averaged 30 a game. They were giving up 28.
Oh yeah.
It's the same thing we saw it when we were at Tech with Pat. He was scoring 46 a game.
It's the same
The
narrative.
defense giving up 45.
Yep.
What is the one thing we always said? Give him some semblance of a secondary, and that man's going to win championships.
Mm-hmm.
So what did Andy Reid go out and do? He cut Justin Houston because they have enough pass rushers around him. They got Chris Jones. They still have D Ford. They got some guys.
Mm-hmm.
They use that money to go fill their biggest need. A versatile corner, safety, slot, defensive back. You can stick Tyrann Mathieu anywhere, and he'll be good.
Mm-hmm.
He can play. And he is an upgrade at any position in that secondary. The Chiefs have to be the team to beat in the AFC right now, right?
I like the move. I really like the move. I was reading on ESPN that I don't remember who it was, but they gave the move like a C minus, and I was
For
kind
what?
of I don't know. I didn't really read in depth to it. It was like a really long paragraph that I just kind of skipped and went to the grade. But they gave it a C minus. I don't know if I had to give the move a grade. As long as he can stay healthy,
Which he's shown. He hasn't missed a game in the last 2 years. He has started 32 games in the last 2 years.
yeah.
So it was, back when he first came in, yeah, he was a bit of a liability. But I think he's played 30 or 31 of the last 32 games. He's been healthy for the most part.
Yeah.
He's shown. Hell, last year he played for pennies and could have been a Pro Bowler.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't want to jump the gun and say that the Chiefs are the team to beat in the AFC because just like last year, I mean, everybody was kind of giving the Patriots like some gripe about it because the Patriots like everybody overlooked us. Everybody said we're the
I'm so
underdog, and
sick of
like
that
Julian Edelman talking about everybody counted us out. I mean, I guess maybe, but that was just everybody kind of
You know
like,
what, people-
please let the Patriots be bad
Exactly.
this year.
People aren't counting them out. People are tired of this crap.
Yeah.
We are all sick and tired of watching the Patriots go to the Super Bowl. You know why? The Patriots aren't fun to watch. We are in a new era where people don't want to sit and watch precision.
Mm-hmm. But we
And
can't put ourselves in the mold to be like. I mean, we are truly watching greatness.
We are.
We're watching
We
greatness.
have never
We're
seen anything
witnessing
like
greatness.
this. We are in two sports. Them and the Warriors. We are watching two things we've never seen before. The difference is the Warriors are much more entertaining. And don't get me wrong, I understand Tom Brady is the most accomplished, maybe professional athlete of all time outside of maybe Bill Russell.
Mm-hmm.
You look at his resume, there's not very many athletes ever that can compete with that.
Mm-hmm.
But he's not dynamic. He's not fun to watch if you're not a Patriots fan.
Yeah.
But I think that yes, you have to consider the Patriots all the time. I think you still have to look at the Colts. I think the Colts are now being run by a competent general manager and have a real team now.
Mm-hmm.
And they got money to spend. Chris Ballard is going to spend that money smart.
Yeah.
And I think if he does, they just got Devin Funchess. I think that's big. I think the Colts can be really good. I'm looking at the Chiefs, the Colts, and I think the Browns might be something this year.
Yeah.
They just traded for Olivier Vernon, who just makes that defensive line maybe the best in the league. They have a young defense that's really talented. Baker showed he could play.
Oh yeah. Yeah. But I always knew he could play. But my last thing on that with the Honey Badger, I think it's a great pickup. Hopefully he stays healthy, plays well for them, makes that defense a little more formidable, and as long as they can get like pressure on the quarterback, they'll be fine. They should be back where they were last year or this past year, and they'll definitely be a contender for the
You
championship
don't need,
again.
with that offense, you don't need a top 5 defense.
No.
You need a competent defense.
Yeah.
You need a defense that's going to give up 20.
Yep, don't give up 30.
Just, exactly. Don't force Pat to have to score 35 a game. Even though he can, don't force him to. Last thing I want to talk about before we move on. So I bleed purple and black. I am a diehard Ravens fan. You have watched the draft with me.
Mm-hmm.
You know how I get when we do things that I'm just like, what are you doing?
Yeah,
You remember what happened when we drafted Brashad Perriman.
Yeah, y'all suck.
Not safe for work. I cannot repeat on this show what I said when we drafted Brashad Perriman. And like I mentioned earlier, Ozzie Newsome made a lot of finesse picks. He got Ray Lewis with a second pick in a first round. He drafted Terrell Suggs. He drafted Adalius Thomas. He drafted Bart Scott. He drafted.
Can't wait.
But he drafted Ed Reed. He drafted C.J. Mosley. He drafted Ray Rice and Joe Flacco in the same year and began a decades-long run of one of the best teams in the AFC, one of the most consistent teams in the AFC.
Mm-hmm.
Towards the later end, though, they were letting a lot of players walk. They kind of took the Patriots' idea of we're not going to overpay for in-house free agents, but they didn't do the Patriots way and replace them with young draft picks that played that same distance, played that same way. Here's what I don't get. We let Terrell Suggs walk. Yeah, that stings. But keeping him would have been more sentimental than practical.
Yeah. That one makes sense.
I get it to an extent. It sucks that he had to leave,
y'all,
but I
Ravens fans wanted to see Terrell Suggs. They don't want to see him in another team's
No, that's going to suck. But it is what it is. Zadarius Smith. He was good, but he's probably still replaceable. He's going to get overpaid. I think the Packers signed him or will sign him. He's going to get overpaid.
Mm-hmm.
Eric Weddle, I kind of get it. Free up some cap space. It just looks worse now that he only signed for $5 million with the Rams. Like, really, we couldn't have done that. The one that really, really stings is C.J. Mosley. We drafted him to be the successor to Ray Lewis, and he was. In 5 years, he was a 4-time Pro Bowler. He had 600 tackles. He has 10 interceptions. He was the reincarnation of Ray Rice.
Ray Lewis.
Ray Lewis. Sorry, not Ray Rice. That Greg Hardy is the reincarnation of Ray Rice. But I get it. God, the Jets overpaid. That was stupid. You can't give an inside linebacker as good as he is. That is top-end pass rush. He got Von Miller money.
Hey, man, watch the Jets be cold next year, though.
They might be. But Anthony Barr was just like, never mind. Anthony Barr decided, I don't want to go there anymore. But that stings.
Hey, in Baltimore, y'all, the running hole's going to be this big. CJ, they're going to be this big. On offense and on defense. Anybody running against y'all, CJ Mosley ain't there. Let me just mosey on through this wide hole.
Here's what I am trying to figure out. So, the one thing about the Antonio Brown trade for the Raiders is you are a brand new GM. You just bought yourself leeway with the fans. You just brought in one of the best offensive players in football who's going to be fun, exciting, and you look like you did something and you didn't screw your team's future because of it.
Mm-hmm. Well, we were making up for everybody going, why would you give up Khalil Mack?
But I'm saying,
when that happened,
they were
getting filleted.
That was stupid. But different team, different hierarchy. This is Mike Mayock. The first thing he does is go get Antonio Brown for a bag of Doritos and a hat.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you gave the Steelers a souvenir koozie and a bag of chips for their best player.
Yeah.
Like, you shafted them.
And so, like, we talked about it. We don't know what their plan is, but they're making moves.
But they're doing something. But he bought himself so much leeway with the fans. And we talked about this off camera. I think Eric DeCosta has to have something going on because he learned under Ozzie Newsome. But
what is the plan?
Is it? Right now, you are burning bridges with a lot of fans.
Who have y'all even signed? Like, I don't even...
Right now, nobody. But I think technically no one has signed anybody yet because you can't officially sign until tomorrow.
Well, you better get on your knees and send up some prayers for Le'Veon.
Tony
Jefferson was recruiting him on Twitter earlier today.
Here's what I'm thinking. So they do have a little bit of cap space.
Mm-hmm. They
got a first-round pick. This is a deep draft. So these picks are going to hold a little bit of value.
Mm-hmm.
Take your draft, take that cash space that you have that you're now not spending on defense, and if you're going to rely on young players on defense, you might have some growing pains. Go sign Le'Veon. He's only 27. He's young enough that he can fit with Lamar Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like we talked about this earlier, go call the Giants. You just saw what happened with Antonio Brown. So the Giants right now are probably pulling away from trading Odell because they think they're going to get shafted. I guarantee if you call them with a first-round pick this year, the number 22 pick this year, and a second-round pick or a third-round pick next year, guarantee you they pull the trigger.
You think they're going to listen?
Yeah. Because right now, I don't think they believe there is a market for Odell that they think is fair compensation, because Antonio Brown is a very comparable player to Odell. Think about it. Amari by himself got a 1. Antonio Brown got nothing. So they think Odell's going to fall somewhere in the middle. If you can offer more than what the Cowboys gave up for Amari, they've got to think about it. Because I guarantee you they haven't gotten that yet. But go trade for Odell. He's 25. He's a top 5 receiver in this league. And his biggest asset, his biggest ability is run after catch, which makes easier throws for Lamar Jackson, and catching bad passes. Right now, Lamar Jackson is not the most accurate quarterback in the league. Give him guys that can help him. Give him guys that can make that difference up.
Y'all definitely need receivers.
We need a receiver, and we need young.
Yeah. Definitely.
He's proven he can be a top 5 receiver in this league, and he fits their timeline. Go get him, Eric.
Yeah.
Like, don't
I feel like
screw
y'all
this up.
need one receiver that can just, just like you said about Odell.
We need someone that can take over a
You
game.
need a possession receiver. Somebody go over the middle. The ball's a little overthrown, underthrown.
Go get the
still
ball.
gonna go get the ball, and then you need somebody just like Lamar Jackson's accuracy throwing to Mark Andrews deep.
He's got it.
Yeah.
He has Mark Andrews. He has the young tight end.
Yeah.
Hayden Hurst, little wannabe Thor. He's not bad. But see, you got 2 young tight ends. Willie Snead is a very good slot receiver. He's a young guy. They had a thing going. But John Brown is gone as your field stretcher. Michael Crabtree is gone as your possession receiver.
Yeah.
Why not combine the two? Go get Odell Beckham.
Then you have
a real offense, though. But that gives you a real offense to build around Lamar Jackson with.
It does, but that ain't happening. I can guarantee you that ain't happening. Le'Veon, at least there's a sliver of hope that might happen. Odell,
It's possible.
if
If they're willing to shop him, and you're willing to offer more than the Cowboys gave up for Amari, you have a chance.
yeah,
But let's move on. So I mentioned at the beginning of the show, we had a hot take about LeBron.
oh yes,
So
oh yes.
there's
Get
this,
ready.
get ready for this. So there's this narrative that floats around on every single sports talk show that I've ever seen. And that narrative is, well, before we get into that, did you hear about this minutes restriction LeBron James might be on?
Oh yeah, it makes sense. They're not gonna make playoffs.
Here's what I don't get. I think it was Chris Carter that said it on FS1. Why play him at all? Your chance to make the playoffs is 1%, if that. You're not making the playoffs. You're not climbing over 3 teams in the West. And if you do, you're going to get the AC. You're going to get smacked by the Warriors. You're going to be out of the playoffs in 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
LeBron just had his first major injury of his career. Why play him for 2 months when you don't have to? What's the point of playing him right now? What do you gain from playing him?
Yeah, you don't really gain.
You don't gain anything.
No, you don't.
So instead of this whole minutes
But
restriction...
he's an NBA player. He's competitive. He wants to play. I mean, I wouldn't just sit him out. He wants to play. If I'm an NBA, I'm a competitor. I'm getting paid. I want to play. No matter what, if I'm not gonna make playoffs or not, I still want to play. He's not just gonna want to sit out.
Probably not.
Play with his teammates. He wants to be there with his teammates.
Does he want to be with them? He said he was going to trade all of them to get Anthony Davis. Does he want to play with any of these guys?
Well, he didn't say that.
He didn't say anything when they were floated all out there.
Oh well, he said it'd be nice to get Anthony Davis, but none of that really. I mean, it had to do with him, but I mean, the media creates a lot of that, like LeBron versus his teammates. Like, man, we don't know what happens in the locker room.
The only thing that I do agree. I think the media puts way too much into that story. I just don't think LeBron does a good enough job at shutting it down. LeBron definitely lets that narrative rock a little bit. You know what I mean? He doesn't say, no, these are my guys. We got who we got. Well, I'm going to go out here and we're going to compete. He doesn't ever back his guys up. Well, at least not with the Lakers. Maybe he did with D-Wade, who's the homie. But he really didn't do it that much in Cleveland with Kyrie and Kevin Love. And he's damn sure not doing it here in Los Angeles. He's not throwing anybody under the bus with the occasional, if you're still distracted, this ain't the team for you. But when the media's throwing this out there, he's definitely not shutting it down either.
Well, I think, like when you have to devote your energy to certain things, and like you don't want to devote too much energy into, oh, I need to shut this down because yada yada. Like
one statement shuts it down.
Well, it's different because in the beginning of the year, when they were doing like team photos and all that, he was back, like he was behind all those guys 100%. They had their team set, they were gonna play. now during the trade deadline, you know, when all that stuff was swirling around about AD, I'm sorry, all that stuff was swirling around, all the rumors and stuff. And then he did an interview and he was like, you know, I know it's hard for these young guys to stay off social media, but you got to try to stay off social media. You don't want to get caught up in that. And you know why? It's because he's a realist. You can't just be like, oh yeah, those are my guys. I'm gonna fight for them. We're gonna go out and compete every night. When you know that their names are getting thrown around in trade like rumors. So there's a point to where it's like, okay, during the trade deadline, everybody knew all the young guys were getting thrown at the Pelicans, right? Everybody knew that.
Yeah.
So he's not gonna go out into the media and say, yeah, man, those are my guys. Like, we're gonna go out and compete every night. You know, why would he go out and lie? He knows those guys are getting thrown into trade rumors.
Yeah, I understand that, but at the same time, these are 20-year-old kids, and like you said, to your point, it's hard for them to stay off of social media. So Lonzo at 20, Brandon Ingram at 21, Kuzma at 23. These are really young kids, and I don't think they fully grasp the concept of being a professional, famous athlete yet. So, yes, their names are being thrown around. And yeah, LeBron may, in his head, be like, I would much rather have Anthony Davis. He's way better. Get these dudes the hell out of here if I can get him. But why not say, these are my guys? You put it in their head that you believe in them. Whether you really do or not doesn't matter. But you got to put it in their head. These are my guys. We are here. I'm going to rock out with these guys, and we're going to go see what we can do. Names are going to get thrown around, but he never said that. He let it ride. He said, if you're still being distracted by this ain't the team for you. Go ahead and just walk away now. What does that say to Brandon Ingram? Or maybe not even Brandon, but to Lonzo and to all of these guys that are out there that they hear their names thrown around in there. And they're like, damn, that's how you feel? Like, I know for me, that would be tough. Like, I can see how LeBron is probably just tired of these narratives all the time, and he's just like, whatever, I'm used to it. I understand that.
Man, they're in LA. They're in LA.
LeBron's been in the league since these dudes were 5. Like, clearly they're on different mental wavelengths. LeBron has to know that and take care, whether you believe any of it or not, whether it's all BS or not, you got to at least put it in their heads like, I got you. I'm here. I came here to play with y'all.
Yeah, to a point to where once the business side gets into it, it's like, yeah, you guys are my guys, but whatever happens, like, it wasn't up to me. That's the front office doing their decision, making decisions to what they think is going to make the team better. So it's not LeBron going out. Like, I know, like, a lot of people like to joke on Twitter, and it's like, oh, LeBron's trading him. And it's funny to say that.
Yeah.
But it's like, LeBron has been rocking these guys since the beginning. We all know that. We've seen it before. He's been playing with them. Whenever he's healthy, he's going to play. He plays hard. He tries to get his teammates involved, all that. But the media tries to, like, spin it to where he's, like, not a good teammate. And then, like, during the trade deadline, just like what I said, like, he's not going to come out and say, these are my guys, we're not trading them. He doesn't know what's going to happen. He doesn't work in the front office. So he's just like, I would just want them to stay off social media. And then whatever happens. Because just like, you know, when the Cavs overhauled their entire roster.
Yeah, how'd that work out?
Yeah, I mean, they got to the finals.
It was the East. They were going to get to the finals if LeBron was playing with me and you. But one more point before we move on a little bit. You said it's not like he works in the front office. Let's be real. Let's not act like Magic Johnson and Rob Pelinka aren't asking LeBron exactly what he wants to do. You know good and damn well they are not pulling the trigger on something if LeBron doesn't put his mark on it. But so I want to talk about this for a second before we get into that real hot take. So I think Luke Walton has hit both ends of this spectrum. Where when he was coaching the Warriors, when Steve Kerr was sick, dude looked like the greatest coach of all time.
Man, that's a product of your environment.
But wait. Then he goes to LA, gets LeBron. Suddenly he doesn't even know how to put in rotations. I think the truth falls somewhere in the middle. But why is it that, with the exception of Eric Spoelstra, every time a coach gets LeBron, he looks like a worse coach?
This is what I want to say about coaching. I want to look directly into the camera when I say this. Coaching is more about the product of the environment and players around you than it is like X's and O's. Like, I'm gonna put in this rotation, and maybe this will work. And not like, dude, I could have coached that Miami Heat team with LeBron, D-Wade, Bosh. That team was just put together that worked perfectly, like to win the championship.
You just had to manage ego.
Oh, yeah,
which
yeah,
Eric
yeah.
Spoelstra is very good at.
Yeah, you manage egos, and then the rotations. I mean, you go get LeBron when he's tired for 5 minutes, and then like it's not hard. Like if you know basketball, it's not hard. It's more of the front office putting the teams together that will work together on the collectively as a basketball team on the court.
And that's my point with this roster right now.
Luke Walton looked like the greatest coach of all time because
he was coaching 5 Hall of Famers.
The system was already in place. Literally, he's just a figurehead.
Yeah,
like it doesn't.
and I agree with that. And I think Steve Kerr is a very good coach, but I don't think there's any way to deny that he benefits from coaching Kevin Durant and Steph Curry.
Man, is Steve Kerr. If you want to say Steve Kerr is the greatest coach in the NBA right now, okay, let him go coach. Let him go coach the Hornets. Let him go coach the Hornets.
Let him coach the Lakers.
Yeah, let him go coach the Lakers. Let him go coach the Hornets. Let him go coach the Hawks and see if they it's a product of your environment.
I do agree a lot of that. Here's my thing about Luke Walton. Magic set him up to fail. You know one thing. LeBron is a system to himself. Yes?
Mm-hmm.
We know what works around LeBron James. He is ball dominant, and he needs shooters and defenders around him.
Mm-hmm.
That's what worked in Cleveland. That's what worked in Miami. Who did you put around him? Ball dominant Kyle Kuzma, who was already there. Ball dominant Rajon Rondo. Ball dominant Lonzo. Non-shooting JaVale McGee. Like, you didn't build this team very well. I don't think any coach would be having enormous success with this roster. I don't think this roster is put together very well at all. I think this roster was set up to fail to get Luke Walton out of there so that Magic can bring in his own coach.
I agree.
I think that's what it is. I think it was a sabotage play the whole time.
I don't know about the sabotage part, but I do agree that the roster isn't put together very well.
It's not.
It's just not. It just doesn't work out. Like, I mean,
It doesn't fit.
Just look at LeBron's track record. Every time he's won championships, just look at the rosters that he's been around. I mean, he had ball dominant Kyrie, but
He had a secondary superstar that could go get his own bucket and a bunch of shooters and defenders.
Exactly. You got somebody who else who can go get their own. Like LeBron's tired. I'm taking a play off. I'm just gonna Kyrie go get a bucket. Okay, you got Kevin Love out there spotting up on us. Kevin Love was basically relegated to the Chris Bosh syndrome.
And Chris Bosh went all-star spot-up shooter. Kevin Love, all-star spot-up shooter.
Yeah.
Dwayne Wade and Kyrie took Robin roles where they were more secondary scorers and distributors.
You just got shooters and
you just got a bunch of James Jones, Mike Miller, Kyle Korver. You got a bunch of shooters around him. That's what works. That we know. That you can set that in stone with Sharpie. That is a fact.
Yeah.
This team is not built for LeBron.
It's not. It's really not.
And that leads me into my LeBron James hot take. There is this narrative that floats around, that's been floating around for almost a decade now, that LeBron James can fit into any system and makes all of his teammates better. I think that's complete nonsense. I do not think LeBron can fit into any system. I think LeBron is his own system. Whether that be good or bad, LeBron is his own system.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he makes his teammates better.
I agree that he's his own system, but I'm gonna say this right here. This is what I think about LeBron James. LeBron James does make his teammates better. I'm gonna say that he makes his teammates around him better.
But how?
But also, he makes his teammates second guess themselves. That's in some instances he makes his teammates second guess themselves on the court.
If you are not Kyrie or Dwayne Wade, who you can go do your own thing without him and still go average 27 and 5. If you are a good NBA role player, if you are a solid role player to good NBA starter, he doesn't make you better. He makes you second guess everything. When you're in the NBA, that is a game about feel and just playing.
But that's just basketball in general.
Think.
Basketball.
He makes all of his teammates think too much.
Basketball is, you need skill, you need athleticism, blah, blah, blah. But basketball is you need a lot of confidence. I learned that at a very young age.
Yes.
Confidence is very important in basketball because if you're not confident in yourself, you're going to be timid on the court, you're not going to do anything.
And he does not instill confidence in his teammates.
And
he doesn't.
I think
look at Jordan Clarkson last year. Jordan Clarkson was a bucket getter for 3 years with the Lakers. He goes to Cleveland, suddenly he can't even hit the rim. He looks like a deer in headlights.
But that's like I think if you just watch his film from LA before the trade deadline, When Jordan Clarkson was getting the ball when he was in LA, he was getting buckets. He was getting the ball. He wasn't hesitating.
He had the freedom to play. You don't have the freedom to play your own game with LeBron James.
You're on a losing team, and then you go to the finals. You're coming off the bench, and you're playing with LeBron James for the championship trophy to beat the Warriors. And you're coming off the bench, and you get in the game, and you're like, do I pass LeBron? Do I score? Do I pass? Like, he just looked like he didn't know how to play basketball. He didn't have any confidence in his game whatsoever.
To me, this is what I think. LeBron James is that guy that you play with at the rec center that's better than everybody and knows he's better than everybody. And he knows he can get a bucket whenever he wants. So he'll pass you the ball. And if you pass, and if you miss, you're not going to get the ball the rest of the game. To me, that's what I see when I watch LeBron play with these young guys. Not Dwayne Wade. Don't give me Dwayne Wade as a established. Dwayne Wade had already won Finals MVP before he even thought about playing with LeBron.
Yeah.
Like, Dwayne Wade was damn near a Hall of Famer before LeBron even got to Miami. That was Dwayne Wade's team, and Dwayne Wade let LeBron have it. He took a step back and gave it to LeBron because he knew LeBron was a better overall player. Mm-hmm. And don't discount. I'm not trying to discount LeBron James. LeBron James is absolutely one of the 2 or 3 best basketball players that has ever breathed air. Mm-hmm. He is, without a doubt, the best player of our generation.
Oh, yeah.
That is without question. That doesn't mean he is an ideal teammate to play with. And I just don't like that narrative that they feed us that LeBron James automatically makes everybody better. No, he doesn't. He makes your job easier if you are an established scorer or if you are strictly a spot-up shooter. If you are Kyle Korver, not bad playing with LeBron. If you're a guy like Jordan Clarkson or even a Lou Williams who hasn't played with him, but you're that guy that comes in, likes to do a little work. Even I think Kyrie was a little bit tough playing with him for a little while. It took some time to adjust.
Kyrie wanted his own team. That's why he left.
And what happened? Kyrie plays with him. Kyrie doesn't like it. The only reason I think it worked with Dwayne Wade so well is because they were best friends. That's the only reason I think that worked.
It's hard when you're a superstar and you got to take a
back seat. It's terrible. So that is my point. Is I think that narrative needs to be killed. I'm not saying LeBron is a team wrecker at all. I just do not believe that this narrative that they try to push down our throats that he makes all of his teammates better is real. I don't think that's the case. I think somebody like Steph makes all of his teammates better because Steph is not ball dominant. Steph is willing to pass. Steph is willing to concede. Kevin Durant, he was more than happy to concede to Kevin Durant. But you can tell, people enjoy playing with the Warriors. People are taking pay cuts to go play with the Warriors. People are not taking pay cuts to go play with the Lakers.
Yes.
They were taking pay cuts to go to Cleveland and play. He was getting a bunch of 37-year-olds that weren't playing anyway. Nobody else was giving Kyle Korver any money.
Yeah, see, but that point about Steph, I kind of disagree there because LeBron, I feel like LeBron is willing to concede. LeBron is willing to concede. The only thing about it, like when you try to compare LeBron and Steph is like a generation, like changed the whole narrative of basketball.
Absolutely, without a doubt.
Like he's bringing the ball up the court, and you got to pick him up like 5-6 feet.
Just ask Andre Roberson. You got to pick him up at half court.
And if you have to do that, you have to plan your whole defense around that. And he's running off screens. He's catching the ball 3-4 feet behind the line, shooting threes.
He revolutionized the game.
He just makes his teammates better without even like. He doesn't even have to touch the ball.
Exactly.
Because it affects the defense already.
I do not think, but that is my point.
That's why I'm disagreeing with LeBron will concede. It's just that LeBron's game is not it's not comparable to Steph's game. So that's why
the way LeBron James plays makes it harder for him to concede because he has to have the ball in his hands to make your job easier. Does that make sense?
I agree there. That makes more sense to me.
LeBron James has to have the ball in his hand. It has to be at full strength so that he can drive and kick because he is a generational passer. He is one of the greatest passers we've ever seen. And when you're 6'9", that really matters because there's nobody that can impede your vision.
Yeah.
I think Giannis and I think Steph and Chris Paul, I believe as well, all have the ability to truly make everyone they play with a better player. I don't think LeBron James does that. Mm-hmm. I think that he can make your job easier for specific roles, but I don't think it's universal. That's all I'm trying to say. I'm not saying he doesn't make anyone better. I'm just saying that narrative that no matter what, playing with LeBron, you will become a better player, I think it's nonsense.
My last point about this is when he's with the Lakers, it's like it's different when LeBron's playing with like older guys. Older guys, they're not trying to make a name for themselves.
No.
They're not trying to,
you got Brandon Ingram trying to show he's a star.
Brandon Ingram, young guy, a lot of talent. He is not the greatest shooter.
No.
He needs but when Brandon Ingram decides he's going to get a bucket,
He can go get a bucket.
He can get a bucket. Lonzo, not the greatest shooter.
LeBron James needs
Lonzo-
players that fit his
Yeah.
style of play.
Lonzo is not a spot-up shooter. Lonzo is he's a 6'6".
He plays a lot like LeBron James.
He's a 6'6" point guard. Can't shoot very well. I'm sure his shot. I mean, he's shooting better than he was like his rookie year, but his rookie year was just putrid. But
Lonzo has a lot of early LeBron James minus the freak athleticism. But I just don't. All I want to say, my last point, is that LeBron James is not the ultimate fit-all puzzle piece that he's made out to be. That's just my point.
If the Lakers want to win with LeBron James, some of those young guys, they're either going to have to accept the fact that they're not going to develop into the superstar that they see themselves as,
Or they got to go somewhere else.
or they're just going to have to get rid of the young guys and just build a roster you just got to go back to the mold that works with LeBron James. You got to go back to that because they're not going to win with this current roster. The young guys, they want to establish themselves. They're not going to establish themselves with LeBron James there because LeBron James is LeBron James.
I agree. So finally, the wrap up. So, another narrative that I'm not a big fan of. There's this narrative going around that Serge Ibaka likes to throw hands. Happened again last night, him and Marquise Chris. Did anyone actually watch that video? He didn't come anywhere close to connecting on that swing. This man, he's like Ben Simmons shooting threes with trying to hit people. Serge really trying to act like he's about that life, but you're not. Serge, I get it. You're still salty Kelly left you. Get over it. Stop trying to act like you're in the MMA. You're not John Jones. You play basketball.